Russia spent $51 million in the last 5 years to do construction for the Olympics in Sochi. And part of the problem with this construction is that they violated many environmental standards. Now, keep in mind that some of the buildings that they built were green conscious, so they wanted to make sure that they built these buildings while, using certain standards to make sure that it's good for the environment. But in the process of doing so, they actually kind of destroyed the wetlands in Russia. So let me give you a few examples. Authorities have reversed legislation protecting national parks in order to allow for those green buildings to go up. As a result, construction of the Olympic Village ended up affecting over 8,000 acres of the Sochi National Park, a strictly protected UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that's just one example.
Yeah, I actually have mixed feelings about this. Apparently one of the problems was that they drove the bears away. So there was woods, the bears were in the woods.
There were 65 species of birds which were buried under 6.5 feet of crushed rock, while reptiles and brown bears have reportedly gone missing from surrounding mountain areas.
Right. So here's why I have mixed feelings about it. This is my old conservative gent coming out, right? I feel like, well, at some point, we got to build stuff, right? And in order to build stuff, we got to take stuff down, right? And they claim that they planted 3 times as many trees as they took down. I hope that's true. If it's not true, then obviously it's a big problem, right? But when you take down trees, what's going to happen? Does a bear shit in the woods? Yes. So he's got to go to another part of the woods. He can't keep shitting there. Is that what happens with the bears? Okay, so the bears get driven out, and sometimes the birds get killed. Now, good, earnest environmentalists will be pissed and say you can't do that. But my answer isn't you can't ever do that. My answer is balance. Sometimes in order to build, you have to do some things along those lines. Now, I'm today considered a massive environmentalist in this political spectrum. Why? Because it's one thing to worry about a bird here and a bear there. It's another thing to destroy the planet. Yes. And that's what we're in the middle of doing, right? So yes, climate change worries me because I'm not worried about saving the dolphins as much as I am worried about saving the humans. So that's got its upside and its downside. Now, also, Russia has bullied environmental activists here. I know, but it goes even further than that, Jing. So you're not worried about the bears and the birds or whatever, but they are screwing with people that are living in a particular mountain village near Sochi. So there's an area where they have about 5 wells, right? And this village depends on the water from those wells. Well, the officials in Sochi had to build a road in order to make Sochi more accessible to tourists and to Olympians that are going over there. And in the process of doing so, they apparently paved over 4 of the wells, and then they did something to destroy the 5th one. Okay, they're fucking with people in the area, right? And they're doing so because, of course, hosting the Olympics makes them look good. Of course, it does also bring in money to their town, to their country. And I understand why they want to do it, but they just straight out ignored certain standards when it comes to the environment, and they're also screwing around with the ecosystem. Now, I should also note, to be fair, that this is one of the few times where the host country has considered building green construction. But in the process of doing that, they also did things that were counterproductive, like paving a road over 4 of the wells that this town depends on. So look, again, a mixed bag. Did the Russians want to do the green construction? I don't know. I don't know what's in their hearts, but the reality is the Olympic Committee wanted that. So the Russians said, oh yeah, of course, yeah, we're going to be super green while we're doing this. This is going to be totally green construction, okay, except for the places where we're bulldozing. So, and then does the Olympic Committee care about this? Apparently not. Let me get to that in 1 second. So yes, some are worried that the landfill is going to seep into the nearby river, contaminating half of Sochi's supply of drinking water. That's obviously a huge issue. Yep. Now my guess is if you ask the people in that town, do you want the Olympics here, create all the jobs, build out, etc., but we're going to drive out some of the wildlife, plus we're going to contaminate your water, that it would be a close question, and they would probably still vote yes, to be honest. If their water will get contaminated. Yeah, okay, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. You kind of need water to survive. No, I understand that, right? But I think a lot of people will say, let's get the jobs, we'll figure it out, we'll clean up the water, it'll be fine, right? And again, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they'd vote overwhelmingly against it, but they're not getting a vote in this case. Now, let me tell you about what the Russians are doing wrong above and beyond that. So there's environmentalists that are protesting this. One of the guys who's most adamant about it is Yevgeny Vitishko. right? And so they're like, oh yeah, you're protesting. Okay, well, we're going to give you 3 years for a sign that you put up on somebody's, not even their house, a fence outside of their house.
Right.
Okay?
And by the way, they charged him with their hooliganism law.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It means whoever we want to charge.
Exactly.
Right. And they said that was deliberate destruction of property, but it was not 3 years you go to prison, right? It was like, hey, you better watch yourself. So if you do anything wrong, then we'll send you to prison. You see why that's actually smarter? Because they're not just throwing him away, they're trying to intimidate him so he doesn't say anything again. So the minute he says something, they're like, you violated your parole, now you get the 3 years in a penal colony, okay? Now, before he even gets tried for that, though, because he hasn't even been convicted, that's when they say, oh, in a different part of town, you swore in public, so we're gonna put you in jail for 15 days. Oh, well, look at that, that's the 15 days the Olympics are going on. I guess nobody's going to hear about the environmental concerns.
Yeah, they sent the same or similar threats to Suren Gazarian, and I just wanted to mention him because he's Armenian, he's an environmentalist, he's looking out for the people of Russia, so
respect.
One love.
And finally, the International Olympic Committee contends that his arrest, the guy we were just telling you about, was not directly related to the Olympics. Go, 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 go. So the International Olympic Committee is clearly covering for the Russians here. They're like, bulldoze whatever you got to do. And by the way, if you got to throw people in jail, even though they're just protesting, do it. Who cares, right? So that also bothers me tremendously. So my overall point is, even if you don't agree with the environmentalists about the expansion, there are many reasons to be pissed at the Russians. They're not really trying to be green. They're putting people in jail who disagree with them. And then there are such huge environmental issues. Even if you weren't an environmentalist on this, it would help to save the planet for human beings as well. So overall, all of us have to be environmental.
Yeah.